That's what I'm talking about. Indiana's in the national championship game. It's hard not to love Cignetti. Kirk Cignetti keeps doing Kirk Cignetti things, and that means more than just winning games. He ain't lying. Here we are. Everything he said is true. And Indiana is in the consideration for the best football team in the history of college football. One of the biggest mysteries of this college football season, and by the way, thanks for watching. This show is presented by Prize Picks. One of the biggest mysteries of this or of this college football season has been solved. Which fan base travels the best? I got to tell you, Indiana is insane right now. Indiana is traveling in epic proportions. I don't normally go this route, but I'm gonna for the sake of this discussion. I was in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and it was at minimum 8-1, 9-1, 10-1 Indiana fans, maybe more. And it wasn't just on the side. It was across the entire place. I mean, I don't know how many Oregon fans were actually there, and if you just by who was green, well, they didn't have very many compared to who was red. There you go. There you see the score. The Ducks got that ass whoop, and Kirk Cignetti keeps doing Kirk Cignetti things, and that means more than just winning games. Here's the deal. 56-22. It started out with a pick six from D'Angelo Pons, the All-American corner. Boom. Next thing you know, though, Oregon went down. And I text my boy Urban. I go, wait a second. Oregon's no joke. About 10 minutes later, I text him back, said, delete. It's hard not to love Cignetti. And I'm going to get into that real quick here. See, Indiana fans have been raised on Bob Knight, Gene Cady. I'm not talking about Indiana University fans. I'm talking about Indiana fans. People have asked me, other than obviously the winning, why has this team resonated not only with people in the great state of Indiana, but across the country? Deep down, we're America. Deep down, we like toughness. Deep down, we like a little bit of arrogance with a lot of fun. And that's what we were raised on here in the state of Indiana between Bob Knight, Gene Cady. Larry Brown was a taskmaster in his own way, about that tall, but tough as hell. Tony Dungy, really, really tough. Didn't swear, very matter of fact, very nice, very Christian, but very, very tough. That's what we were raised on here with our coaches. And subsequent to those guys all leaving, we've got what? Mike Woodson, who sat on his fat ass, smoked cigar, and drank wine? What? Shane Steichen, Frank Reich with the Colts? Are you in Chuck Pagano? We got a lot of BS going on there. Purdue's been smart. Now you would put Painter in there. But Cignetti fits that bill. And here's, well, not the perfect example of it because Knight didn't drink, but certainly a great example for Cignetti and for the modern-day Indiana fan. I'm really not thinking about the next game, Cignetti said. I'm thinking about cracking open a beer. If you know anything about Indiana University, you know that at one point and many points, it was named the number one party school in America by Playboy magazine. Now, I got to tell you, if Playboy magazine is rating you as the number one party school, you can throw a party. Now, Indiana got embarrassed by that, and everybody my age and around my age knows the name Dean Gordon. He was the dean of students. He used to go to fraternity and fraternity looking for keggers because it's a dry campus. But Indiana at its core is a partying school. And guess what? A guy after, 15-0 saying, I just want to crack a beer, lady or man or whoever the hell he was talking to, that resonates with the good folks at Indiana. Indiana used to be wake up at 10 o'clock Sunday morning to watch the Bob Knight show, where if we lost, and it was better if we lost, because he would be grumpy, he would destroy the guy, Chuck Marlowe, and everybody loved it. Cignetti does the same thing with the sideline girls or with reporters, and we love it. That's why Cignetti and Indiana has taken it from a great story to a dynamite off the charts. Everybody's traveling. $5,000 for a ticket. Shoot, I'm in. Story. That's where we're at here. There's your answer. A lot of people may understand it. A lot of people may not understand it, but there it is. Here's Cignetti on how the doubters from last year when Notre Dame got him fueled this year's team. Here's Cignetti post-game.
National championship preseason. We're 100-1. What should they be going into this game against Miami?
Well, you all have a job to do. And a lot of times you'll piggyback off somebody else's story or belief, and there's pressure to get it nowadays with the internet, get the story out there. And a lot of those people really don't know our team. They don't know what we're made of, what we got, and I get it. There was a lot of skepticism after last year that we were a fluke. That team did a lot of great things and got it all started. That team never trailed till the 9th game of the year. And when it did, 10-0 in the first quarter up at Michigan State, they scored 47 straight. I think a lot of that negative stuff in the media fueled the guys returning from this team, and we added some real key pieces. The main one sitting right here on my left, but other ones as well. Great leaders, great players. And we've just built off our successes, and we've won some big games on the road. And it helps when you have a quarterback play his best football when the game's on the line in the fourth quarter. And so, here we are.
He ain't lying. Here we are. Everything he said is true. And this is what I've been saying about Mendoza. Big possums walk late, ladies and gentlemen. And my man walks late. Later in the game, more pressure in the game, the better the kid plays. And he's done it all year. You can go back to Iowa game. You can go to Penn State game. These games, well, frankly, haven't even been close. That game the other night, I'm not going to lie. Indiana fans, two things happened. Number one, they didn't sell beer after halftime, which pissed a lot of people off. I think it was a good move. And number two, we're all like, what do? We want to yell and scream, but hell, we might as well go home. It's 55-10 or whatever the hell it was. Dan Lanning got his ass kicked. Dan Lanning's a class act. Oregon's a class act. Did you see that equipment manager walk over and give the ball to D'Angelo Pons, the one he ran in for a pick six? Class move. Here's Dan Lanning post-game.
I think every man can learn from adversity, right? I just told that whole locker room, right? This is going to be about how do you respond in life. This is going to be a life lesson that a lot of people never get, right? We just got our butt kicked, right? That's going to happen in life, right? And not just Dante. Every single person in that locker room, every coach, every person can learn, hey, how do you respond to that, right? Some people crawl into a hole, right? Don't face the music. Some people say, okay, let's figure it out. Let me challenge myself so I can get better. Let me go be an example to how do you handle moments like this, right? I think there's a way to handle that, and Dante's been exceptional. Bryce, these guys have been exceptional stewards of what we want it to look like all year long, and it's gone right for us 13 times, right? It didn't go right tonight, and you can't let that overshadow. Every one of us has unbelievable disappointment. You're going to learn from it, but there's a lot of lessons to be learned for everybody in life, right? And we'll learn the hard lessons here. And you know what? Most people will never be in the position where they get to learn that lesson on the stage that we get to learn on, right? These guys were in that position.
Purdue basketball coach Matt Painter, after losing as the first, I guess they were the first 1 seed to lose to a 16, or maybe they were the second. He said we had to sit in it for a year. And that's a great way to put it. We got to sit in it. That's the bottom line. But you know what? I love Lanning's answer there. You do. You got options on what you do. And you got options as a player. Oh, man. Or do I just say, screw it, I'm going to go get better, and we'll figure it out again. You get to the Final Four. I don't care whether it's high school basketball, college football, high school football, NCAA football. It's a successful year. I mean, Dan Lanning's team, out of all the teams playing college football, got to the Final Four. Like, you hang banners for Final Fours. I always said you play for rings and banners. In college basketball, people give you a Final Four ring. I got a few of them, not my doing. I happen to be on a staff with great players. So I don't look at it as a major disappointment for Lanning. Sure, you're sitting there, you got your ass kicked, but damn. He mentioned it, 13 wins in a college football season. How good is that? It's great. Now, Indiana has an opportunity to do something historic. No one's ever won 16. And you can look up all the numbers, and I'll try to get them here for you in a minute. But the truth of the matter is Indiana is on pace. They're not there yet, and I understand they've got a long way to go, one game to go, actually, to win, to be considered one of, if not the greatest teams ever. But as we sit here right now, I got to tell you, Indiana is in the consideration for the best football team in the history of college football. You can argue it. I understand Joe Burrow 19. I understand a lot of different teams. I get it. I swear. But the truth of the matter is they are involved in this conversation, period. Period. If you don't understand it or you don't like it, that's fine. But they're whooping people at a level where they really haven't had any competition in these playoffs if you think about the last two games. And it's hysterical. It's astounding. It's hysterical. I use that word intentionally to guys like me that have watched this, and you just laugh and you go, my God. I've told you before. My wife, my daughters are like, hey, Dan, you have the same conversation with every alumni. Can you believe this? This is unbelievable. I can't believe it. Blah, blah, blah. Now I believe it. And now we're rocking and rolling. All right. So here's the college football bracket. Indiana, here it is. There's your championship game. We got a 10 seed against the number 1 seed. We got a team playing at home against a quarterback and a stud cornerback, both from Miami. Both have talked about being overlooked by staffs at Miami. So we got a lot of things in play here. We got a hometown team. Maybe we have the same thing in the Super Bowl with the San Francisco 49ers out there in Santa Clara. I don't know. But for this, wow. Storyline. Mendoza's dad played with Mario Cristobal in high school in Miami. Think about that. How about that? That's awesome. This whole thing is awesome. And by the way, the Mendoza family, I wasn't there. I was down in the field making a video, but we had secured a little area on the second floor of this hotel. It was over kind of in the corner. There was a party that was happening, and it was the Mendoza family's party. And they very politely, along with people there, asked, apparently, my wife, whatever, to take our party elsewhere, which we did. Anything for the Mendozas. Are you kidding me? Hey, that dude never buys a beer ever or a drink ever in the great state of Indiana. All right, let's talk about rosters. If you're mad at the way Indiana's put together their roster, 2 words for you: suck it. A lot of people are saying Indiana's roster, although you see no 5-star recruits, you see 6 5-star recruits for Oregon, 7 4-star recruits, the 52 4-star recruits. People are making the excuse, and this is why I love where college sports is. Indiana's too old. Great. Good. I would rather the excuse be Indiana's too old than, well, Michigan's cheating, and it turns out to be true. If I were media around the country, I would say, man, Indiana's got to be cheating. They got to be, because they're kicking everybody's ass with that kind of talent against that kind of talent. How is this possible? According to 24/7 Sports Ratings, no national championship, listen to this, has ever had a roster ranked outside the top 15 since these rankings came into existence and win the championship. There you go. Michigan had 14 in 2023, and Indiana sits at 72 in this year's ratings. How about that? 72. 72. So, all I know is when you find the right coach, he's a great talent evaluator, you get a little esprit de corps, and away we go. But bottom line, toughness, and more toughness. So, we're going to talk about it all week. I'm not going to give you a prediction right now. I will. Indiana's going to win. Indiana's going to cover. I don't care where the line goes. I saw it 7.5. It may be less than that now. I don't know. I'll look it up. All right, here we go. This is from Ian Miller on Outkick. Since virtually unrestricted NIL took off and the transfer portal became even a bigger free-for-all, the SEC has lost control of college football. Some have suggested or outright stated that it's because other conferences were suddenly able to pay the players in a way that the SEC has already been doing, or that geographical concerns become less important than financial ones. Bingo. Both of them. Bingo. There's even more obvious explanation. The highly regarded recruits who would go sit on the bench for Georgia or Alabama now no longer need to. Instead of being stuck on the depth charts, waiting to get a turn to play after 2 or 3 years, these players are can now enter the portal every year, jump to greener and more opportunistic pastures that has spread the talent out across the sport more evenly than it has in the past. But whatever the reason, it's abundantly clear to everyone not wearing an SEC patch that the tide has turned, pun intended, and that the Big Ten has picked up where the SEC has left off. I wasn't a big believer in that. I really wasn't, and the Bulls don't do anything with me for that. But there probably is something to it now that we got 2 major conferences. Although the team in the championship game isn't from the Big Ten or the SEC, one of them. I don't necessarily get into conference by conference, and I don't think teams and players do. Maybe they say it publicly or they got more buddies on Big Ten teams, so maybe they root for them. I don't really care. What I care about is Indiana's in the national championship game not soccer, not basketball, not women's hoops, not volleyball, not baseball, football, which is absolutely mind-blowing to anybody that understands the past. Want it again, ladies and gentlemen, Prize Picks. Prize Picks brought to you. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Starting maybe a new routine or making players picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard. But in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend, elite hoops action every single night, college basketball delivers. The action never stops. Prize Picks lets you take control. Find your community on Prize Picks. With the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends, copy lineups from winners, all with a single click. Copy lineups you like, use them as inspiration for your own picks. Can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tail or fade. You shouldn't have faded me this weekend, me or Sean. With just one click, Prize Picks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast and secure. Prize Picks accept most credit card payments, making deposits into your account quick and easy this sports season. Download the Prize Pick app today. Use code DAKICH. Get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's code DAKICH to get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. All right, let me get this straight. So this is what passes for tough leadership now. Steve Kerr and Doc Rivers. Guys with rings, microphones, no clue what they're talking about when they start pontificating on the Renee Good situation. And we're all just supposed to nod along. Yes, basketball, they win. Give me a break. Just give me a break from these two. Like, why are NBA coaches allowed to get up there and be so critical of the United States of America, wrongly critical, yet they're so afraid to criticize the workings and the dealings with the people of China who fund them? You can look at Enes Kanter for more on that. I just get tired of the pontificating. I do. I don't mind somebody having an opinion. I don't. And if Kerr and Doc Rivers have an opinion, great. My opinion is I'm tired of both of them. Like, you can come out, and I don't understand how you don't get sued for this. You can come out and say ICE agents killed people. Let's get into it. Honest to God, problem with the NBA is everyone got a platform. No one's got a handle on facts. Loudest voices are the ones furthest from reality. Talk loud and carry a big mic. That's the way it is. Here's Steve Kerr on the shooting of Renee Good.
Well, I'm glad that the Timberwolves, recognized, her life and the tragic nature of her death. And it's shameful, really, that in our country we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder and seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So very demoralizing, devastating to lose, anyone's life, especially in that matter. So it's terribly sad for her family and for her and for that city. And I'm glad the Timberwolves came out and expressed that sadness.
That's awesome. Good for him. I mean, you have the You have the right to say what you think, but the video doesn't necessarily back up what he said, and certainly witnesses don't, and the facts don't on what she did driving 6 hours, a known protester. There's a very simple way not to get shot. Don't interfere with police. Don't interfere with ICE doing their job. Just don't do it. I've seen so many people, hey, those people don't care about you. You're willing to lose your life over something as inconsequential as that? Saying ICE agents are murderers, saying that the Trump administration is openly lying about it. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. Steve Kerr, I get it. His dad got killed in the 80s. I understand all that, and we're supposed to be hanging on to that. But I watched that video. I don't want anybody to die ever. But one way not to die is to not try to run over an ICE agent. Now, you can argue whichever side of the fence you're on. Hey, she didn't deserve to be shot doing it. I have no idea other than absolutely what I saw. She did. And does she deserve to be shot? I don't know. I don't know exactly what transpired, but I do think ICE agents have the ability or should have the ability to defend themselves against folks that are trying to kill them. That just makes sense. And again, if you don't want to die, don't try to kill an ICE agent. Don't try to kill a cop. So, anyway, we'll see what happens here. And, of course, Doc Rivers chimes in. Doc Rivers is beautiful. Usually Doc Rivers is too busy blowing leads, but here's what Doc Rivers had to say.
What happened in Minnesota was a straight-up murder, in my opinion, and it's awful. This lady was probably trying to go home, and she didn't make it home, and that's really sad. So the whole ICE thing it's a travesty. It's clearly, to me, we're attacking brown people, and I just happen to be brown, and I don't think it should just be brown people who are upset at this. I think we all have to be. I don't care what side of this thing you are on politically. What's going on in our country right now is absolutely wrong as far as the race stuff. The politics, I'm not going to get into. The race stuff, I will, and it's just wrong, and we have to do something. But the only thing we can do right now is keep speaking up because it doesn't seem like they care, and that's troublesome. Last thing I'm going to say, because I don't want to stay on this, but I could. I keep thinking about kids, and when I grew up, the president was always the role model, and I think about that and the effect of being a bully, lying. How is that good for our kids? And that worries me for our future. So I'll stop there.
Well, you should have stopped before. Our kids, president's a role model. Let's go back. John F. Kennedy was stooping everything in the world. I don't know what to tell you. Richard Nixon got the boot out of office. Now, Gerald Ford, okay. Jimmy Carter was the worst president ever. And speaking of kids, we were all affected by it because he was so bad, he was Biden bad. Don't even get me started on Ronald Reagan and why he married his wife, Nancy. Bill Clinton, are you kidding me? George Bush Sr., allegedly, 33 years of mistress, allegedly. Bill Clinton stooping everything and his mother. Cocaine, drugs, whatever, is George W. Bush. Obama, I really don't know, other than there's a lot of discussion whether he was bought and paid for. See, the world has opened up, and Biden, the most corrupt president ever, and we all know what Donald Trump's background was as a madman, businessman. If you were looking at the president as a role model, you have paid no attention. See, when it really lost me was Bill Clinton. I don't care about a president as a role model. The world is too open now. And by the way, attacking brown people, the lady was white. Hey, when the Biden administration went down to the border and literally cut razor wire to allow brown, white, green, purple, whatever people in that were criminals, now you got to clean up that mess, son. Now, I get it. Doc Rivers is just speaking about something he has no idea. She was just trying to get home. Have you read anything, Doc Rivers, about what was actual? I mean, she's a paid protester, allegedly. She's been indoctrinated. She drove 6 hours to get involved in something that wasn't her concern because that's what leaving kids at home, by the way. But this is about brown people? No, this is about getting criminals the hell out of there. And I speak from experience. My street had break-ins from who? The gangs, what was that, MS-13 and then Arguello Venezuelan gang. And as soon as Biden got in office, it started. And as soon as Biden got out of office, it stopped. So you can kiss my ass with targeting. They're targeting bad people that were let into this country by even worse people. And if you like that, you're insane. Tell Laken Riley's parents, Doc Rivers, about brown, black, green, or purple. Tell her about, well, we should not go after criminals when she was slaughtered. How about that girl on the train? I didn't hear Doc Rivers say jack shit about that. I mean, a dude just stabs her in the neck and kills her. Honest to God. Charlie Kirk, I didn't hear Doc Rivers say shit about it, and he is getting into the politics. So you can kiss my ass with that. The Biden administration is the first administration, if you're going to go to politics, every single political figure until the Biden administration, including Hillary Clinton, including Barack Obama, including Reagan, including Carter, including both Bushes, said we need closed borders. It's a bipartisan issue. And we're seeing what happens when a corrupt administration like Biden's wants to, encourages, and pays for illegal immigrants to pour into our country from jails around the world. Somebody's got to clean the shit up, Doc Rivers. How about that? Nobody knows college football as we prepare for National Championship Week in the great state of Indiana, like the great Tom Luganbill. I can't even believe I'm saying it, Tom. Indiana dismantles Oregon. Miami the same. Give me your thoughts here. Let's go first with how Oregon has played before we get into Cignetti and everyone with Indiana. How has Oregon played? What do you like? What do you dislike?
Listen, I think what happened between Oregon and Indiana is further reflection that when you get down to this level of play, the caliber of player, the caliber of coaching, that the margin of error is so razor thin that you can't screw it up. You cannot afford to make mistakes. And that's what Oregon did. Oregon is uber talented. Oregon's got a quarterback. They've got 4 running backs. They've got wideouts. They've got an interior defensive front that's 6'6", 200 or 325 pounds, 330 pounds, 2 deep across the board. They've got a true freshman corner right now that's going to end up being a top 5 overall pick one day. They got guys, but here's the deal, Dan. Here is the whole secret sauce about Indiana. They are the best coached and best prepared program in college football. I'm going to throw some things out at you here because when I first started doing some research on this, I could not believe what I was coming up with. Did you know that they've only had 1 lost fumble in 15 weeks? It occurred in the first week of the season, and that's never happened in the history of FBS football. They went into last week's game, only had 11 total penalties on defense. 11, right? They'd only turned the ball over 8 times the entire year. They don't give up negative plays. They're the least penalized team in college football. They don't give up explosive plays. Nobody's been called for pass interference fewer than Indiana, right? They can run the football. They're never in second and third and long. If they are, it's rare. And their kicking game is flawless. So if you're going to play against them, you can't screw it up because they're not going to. I mean, that is the bread and butter. I think it's overly simplistic analysis, to be honest with you, because everybody wants to sit there and say, okay, they're talented. Yeah, they are talented. And what did I tell you back in July and August about Fernando Mendoza?
You did.
Okay. So what I think gets glossed over in all of this, and it's starting to come to the forefront, but look at how old they are, Dan. It's hard to be old in college football. That's why everybody used to hate playing against BYU. You know, they're sitting there with a front that's 24, 25, 26 years old. Well, in some ways they still are. But This is a team with graduate seniors, 6-year seniors, redshirt seniors, redshirt juniors, and they have valued experience and a large sample size of performance over youth and talent.
You know what I've asked, and I don't have the answer to this. To your point on the numbers and the lack of fumbles and penalties, they don't ever have a misstep. I told my son this. He's coaching at Illinois State, and I said, you really need to study what's going on here because they never have a misstep in a press conference. I don't know if they have an unsportsmanlike penalty, Tom. I'm sure they do.
No false starts, except for the first Oregon game. They do not false start. So they're never at 1st and 15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody's in trouble with the law.
Right.
Like there's nothing here. And I want to go back to something you said, which is so right. It's such a simplistic, hey, just do your damn job, do it really well. We evaluated you to come here and play football because you're good. Here's what we expect. Go do it. It's so simplistic seems to be the word.
It is. I think oftentimes we overcomplicate this game, right? Blocking, tackling, possession of the football. All right. Well, look at what they do. And, the quarterback is so efficient. I think if we're looking forward to the national championship game, and I said this in preview of the Ohio State-Miami game at the time, up until the Miami-Ohio State matchup, nobody had been able to get Julian Sayin, the Ohio State quarterback, off schedule. Nobody had been able to get them behind the sticks, get him to miss, get him to be a little rattled and flustered. Well, nobody's done it to Fernando Mendoza either. But now you're playing against the Miami front that has done it to everybody. And I think that's where, if you look at this matchup and you were to say, okay, are there some X factors or some key components? Obviously, it's going to be a bloodier nose, get a note from your mother to play in this game up front, right? We all get that. But how do you get Fernando Mendoza off his game? Because nobody's been able to do it. And Miami did it to Ohio State, and they were the only team to do it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens there up front. And then I think the other side is Miami for 3 weeks in a row now has completely owned the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
If they're in a fourth quarter game with you, you better have depth, you better have toughness, and you better be able to hold up because they wear your ass out.
I want to go to Miami, and I want to go to Carson Beck. Why is he such an unlikable character for everybody? Why is he such a lightning rod guy? Seems like a nice kid.
Well, listen, I think you've got to give the kid a lot of credit for pressing the reset button and getting back to what matters. One of my criticisms of him, and I think this probably plays a role in it, is that year that he became a first-year starter at Georgia, okay? And remember, he did not transfer. He had redshirted. He bided his time. And when his time came, he had a lights-out season, right? You go into the next offseason, and what often happens with these young guys, now all of a sudden the money's there. The girls are there. The Lamborghinis are there. Social media is every 30 seconds. And he started, I think, really getting caught up in being Carson Beck. So you go into that next season. Now, Georgia's not as good around him, but you kind of expect that next season, okay, well, you need to make everybody better now. And he didn't necessarily do that. He had a very up and down year. Took him to the SEC championship game, but I think a lot of that was caused by so much of the external influences that are consuming these kids now. And so where I give that guy credit is he decided to choose Miami, where you're going into an environment where there's a lot of distractions, as we all know. But he got back to being a football player, right? And I don't think people give him enough credit for that, Dan. I think, the thing that I've said all along, and it's true, Miami is where they are right now because of Carson Beck. They also have 2 losses because of Carson Beck, right? They turned the ball over 6 times against SMU and Louisville. And he played really poor. But he's also the reason they're at that. Right? So he's shown an ability to rebound, right? He's shown an ability to get back on track. And he's been absolutely sensational. They're third down the other night against Ole Miss in the second half was remarkable. Third down offense. Oh, my goodness.
That was as good a drive as I've seen a quarterback have. I mean, I'm not saying there's not better, but that's as good. I mean, he was so good, so precise when he had to be late. That's what's fascinating. You mentioned the fourth quarter, and Signetti said it about Fernando Mendoza. He's at his best with the games on the line. And again, I got to give Carson Beck credit. But let me go to this. You mentioned Louisville and SMU. Why is Miami in this position? Is it Beck's gotten better and the defense is good, but they lost to two teams that national champions don't lose to.
Right. Well, what's interesting too about the ACC, and I have to cover it an awful lot, is it was a really competitively balanced league, top to bottom. Like if you took SMU, Pitt, NC State, Virginia, Duke, Georgia Tech, and even Miami, all of those teams at some point in the last 5 to 6 weeks of the regular season, every one of them were in the driver's seat to make it to the ACC championship game, and they all screwed it up, right? And what ended up happening was this little Miami team over here, when it got late and all the other teams were screwing it up, and they played really hot down the stretch, was when they had to play hot. Because their misfortune was having those losses come right before the first release of the college football playoff ranking. And I credit the playoff committee here, and I guarantee you those coaches in that room, with the Notre Dame head-to-head happening and what happened in the ACC championship game, they couldn't break the head-to-head, but those coaches in that room, I guarantee you, were going, we take them. We are taking the most talented ACC team. Because the only team that's beat Miami has been Miami. Plain and simple. So the committee got that right there, and Miami backed them up.
A lot of talk this week about, and you mentioned Indiana being old. Is this whole environment devastating to high school kids? Where are we at with getting old? And my first thing is to go to the transfer portal, which I would do. I don't blame anybody for doing it. Where are you at with all that?
I feel sick for the kids because there is a trickle-down effect, right?
Yeah.
So the first year that this all, and it was very gray and, it wasn't as prevalent, but it was accessible. The very first year this portal deal happened, the most impacted group of recruitable athletes were not the high school pool. It was the junior college pool. On average, you'd see about 300 kids in a recruiting cycle sign with an FBS school. The first year of the portal, that number went down to 100. So the JUCO kids got hit hard then. Well, now what started to happen is you've got all of these guys in the portal who maybe played 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 years. Some of them still had the COVID year, right? So you had that extra year to get a little older. Maybe it's redshirted. And so coaches are making calculated decisions. Do we take a kid who can help us right now? Let's just say he's got 32 starts over 3 seasons. Or do we go recruit this high school kid? So what I've been telling parents and kids is, guys, if you are fortunate enough to get heavily recruited and have verifiable, committable high school offers, do not screw around. You better take that offer, because that offer in the blink of an eye can go right to a portal guy. You want to play a game? See, the players used to have the leverage at the high school level. Now they don't. You want to play that, I want to see who's the prettiest bride in the room. Okay, well, you waste your time doing that. We're going to go get this guy who just played 12 games. And somebody's got to start telling these kids the reality of the situation.
Yeah, and the reality isn't going to change, is it?
Nope.
I mean, it's not changing, I don't think.
The only way it changes is if we finally get to a point where they collectively bargain and there's rules on both sides, and you know exactly what a player can and can't do, and what exactly the university can and can't do, and all the sides come together and agree, and then we figure out what the roster limitations are. We obviously have stricter and more policed and governed guidelines of what we're doing. I think that would probably help minimize the impact to some degree on the high school recruitable athlete, because I think it would solidify exactly what the numbers are each and every year.
Is that coming?
I certainly hope it's coming because it's the only, number one, it's the only way to stay out of court. All right. And it's the only way to be in a position where the players are going to have to be accountable for what they sign, and the universities will have to be accountable on their end, and it will be agreed upon by both parties. I mean, look at what happened just last week with Damon Williams at Washington. Like, can you imagine if this was the NFL and somebody tried to do that? And could probably get away with it, right? If he really wanted to push that, like, could he have gotten away with that? Right? I mean, you look at the guy that you look at Iam Aliava's younger brother, Madden, when he went to Arkansas. He's there for 3 months, signs an NIL deal. He decides he's going to jump on the portal and $100-year checks. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What about that money you owe us? Right? So until we decide to collectively bargain, we're going to continue to be in this vicious cycle of mess.
Tom, last thing, does Chambliss have a legit thing here, or is this a lawsuit? And if he wins the lawsuit, does this open up crazy doors? I mean, what do you see in here? Is this a big deal, this kid suing?
Well, I want to make sure that I've got it. He's claiming that he had an illness and did not play one of his years, even though he'd already redshirted. So he's essentially asking for a medical redshirt, correct? I want to make sure I'm right.
Yeah, that's the way I understand it.
So whatever the evidence is that he turned in was obviously not strong enough in the eyes of the first folks that reviewed it. But I know this: there's been a lot of people that have had an illness or an injury and had already redshirted and have gotten the medical red shirt. So I bet he's got some precedent and some stuff beyond it. But I'll say if he doesn't get it, and I was talking about the value of experience in the transfer portal, especially at the quarterback position, Ole Miss just went and targeted a very talented young man that was at Auburn in Deuce Knight, who was a former Notre Dame commit, right? He's played one game against an FCS team. So if you lose Trinidad Chambliss, and that's the guy you have, you've already lost Austin Simmons. And you're running out of time on the portal because it's about to close and there's not a second one. It's going to be very interesting to see what the outcome of this Chambliss saga is.
Yeah, I mean, he's suing, and in theory, the NCAA never wins a lawsuit.
Well, they always falter. The moment the player lawyers up, they wilt. They fold like a lawn chair.
Right.
Every single time. A toothless, gutless organization.
I'm just saying, man. It's like, damn, all right, Sue, you're going to win. Junior colleges wanted that not to count. I mean, what the hell? Just play till you're 30. I don't really have a problem with it because I think the games are great, and I care less because Indiana's winning and I'm riding that train. But I don't know, man. This is bad for so many people except the dudes that are getting paid. And I get, Tom, the other way is, and I put this on Twitter, and part of it is sarcastic, but ratings are great. Everybody's getting paid. There's no academic ineligible anymore. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the sport's in a great position. Maybe it is.
Well, that's why you talk about like the APR and the graduation.
Yeah.
All that. And when they sit there and they talk about, we were really weary about putting the transfer portal window after the national championship game because some kids are on the quarter and some. Shut up with that. Stop with this academic nonsense. If you've transferred 3 or 4 times already, you ain't getting your degree. You ain't made any satisfactory progress. What are we talking about here? Just have them sign a waiver that allows them to make up 3 weeks of work if they happen to be a late enrollee. This is not hard. Like, what are we doing?
Tom, it's the first time that I've been in college basketball forever.
Yeah.
And I was in academics, 12 years with Coach Knight, 10 years at Bowling Green. It was an everyday deal. It's the first time I can remember. And on a 2-semester sport, which college football has become, not one single player that I have found is academically ineligible in college basketball. Not one. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, man.
Not one.
Fraudulent.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Have a great week. I'll see you Friday. Thank you.
Appreciate you too.
There he goes. The great Tom Luganbill. It is such a joke. APR. We got to get graduation. We got to do it. Yeah, really? All right. Hey, we'll be right back. It's Monday. We got to do a little stock up, stock down. The Indiana football Hoosiers stock way the hell up. And I will say this, the Miami football Hurricanes stock way up. Look, you meet in a national championship game, particularly the Hurricanes, kind of out of nowhere, right? I mean, the Hurricanes, damn, 10 seed, but you see Fernando Mendoza right there. He took his helmet off and went over and shook hands with Dan Lanning. Indiana players have had absolutely no missteps this entire year. I cannot remember an unsportsmanlike penalty. There has been nothing with the police. Every interview is perfect. I really believe this. I told my son this. You need to study what Cignetti does, how he does it, and why he does it that way, because it is absolute perfection. NFC West, how about the Rams? How about the 49ers? I swear to God, me, Sean, and Davey could quarterback, one of the three of us could quarterback the 49ers, and we would get a win in the playoffs. I mean, they just cycle and go. The Bears, the Chicago Bears, say whatever you want about Caleb Williams, painted fingernails, all that kind of stuff. But you know what that dude does? That dude balls so hard. Stock down, A.J. Brown's future in Philadelphia. I mean, what a clown. What's his face? I know everybody dislikes Sirianni, and maybe it's warranted. I don't know. I think he just won a Super Bowl, or I could be nuts. But him going over and getting in the face of A.J. Brown was beautiful, and what Brown needs, he's just not smart enough to figure that out yet. They had to be separated somewhat, but I thought what Sirianni did was absolutely perfect. Trinidad Chambliss, NCAA, denies a 6th year, and somehow he's a victim. I mean, honest to God, great fun to watch. Great story from Ferris State. But, dude, go ahead and get yourself a job. Damn. Justin Herbert. Now, this was not all on Justin Herbert. This wasn't. Justin Herbert's offensive line sucked. And I mean sucked. And, well, Mike Vrabel's a pretty good coach. And Mike Vrabel took advantage of it. You saw stunts. You saw twists. You saw some brush. You saw some blitz. It was incredible. And there was nothing. And thank goodness, between Tom Crean, Jim Harbaugh, and John Harbaugh, we are out of Harbaugh family members. We're out. Now, you got to watch Crean a little on TV pontificating, which is fine. I like him. But, damn, we're done. Good for us. Davey, Sean, is there any stock up or stock down that either of you would like to comment on as we move towards National Championship Week here in the great state of Florida / Indiana? I'll go to you first, Sean, because you look like you're chomping at the bit.
Matt LaFleur, stock down. Woo. Stop losing with the Packers. You got a good team. You got talent. And now all you got is excuses. Starting to feel like he's a bit of the Dan Lanning of the NFL here. Coaches his ass off. Lights get a little bright. What happened? Where'd you go? Stock down, Matt LaFleur.
Let me ask you, why is that his fault? I could argue he got him the lead and the players crapped the bed. Come on. I think Jordan Love's pretty good, though. Why? Why is that his fault?
Protect the lead. Protect the lead. Either coach with some balls and then continue scoring, or have the ability to stalwart an offense that you've been shutting down a whole half and keep the train rolling and get some points. It took a miracle touchdown from Matthew Golden, his first of the year, coming in the wild card game with a spin move and a juke and a hurdle to even get him a touchdown in the second half. Score some points.
Davey, you got any stock down? Then I'll go back to you guys for stock up. You got any stock down, Davey?
Just going off what's already on the list, Dan, one of the things, I mean, we know it's coming, but with Trinidad Chambliss not being eligible for that 6th year, you know what it means? It means another lawsuit for college athletics. So we get to look forward to that fun.
Boy, is that true? I saw where Booger McFarland was yelling and screaming about do the right thing, get this guy a 6th year. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, Davey, how many years does a guy need? I mean, a 6th year? Why? Because he didn't play a year? What the hell, Davey? I'm with you. NCAA never wins lawsuits, right?
That seems to be the trend. I doubt it's going to turn around. But, I mean, we look at it, Dan. You talk about just college football in general, all these guys. The portal's where you need to go to get players now, because why start a kid that's coming out of high school when you can just go get a 24-year-old who's a grown-ass adult?
I agree. A lot of people are on Indiana's ass, but if you look at some of their best players were recruited by Tom Allen as freshmen and have developed. So it's you got to have a combination, but I'm with you, Davey. I'm going portal first, high school second. You got anybody stock up, Sean?
Stock up. Monday Night Football for the public. We had a beauty of a game last week with the FCS National Championship. That was great. Now tonight we get Aaron Rodgers, potentially his last game ever in a Steelers uniform, at home in formerly named Heinz Field, a terrible new name of the stadium. I don't care. But at home versus a fun Texans team, I'm delighted. It's all I can it's 9:30 in the morning. It's all I can think about.
It's what?
It's all I can think about is this getting to this game to watch
I
this
thought
game.
you said it's 9:30 in the morning. Where the hell are you? That it's 9:30 in the what? You in New Zealand?
Eastern Seaboard, Dan.
Oh, at 9:30 here. Okay, I thought you meant tonight's game was at 9:30 in the morning. I'm like, damn, did he get a little time travel? Davey, you got anybody stock up?
I do want to say real quick on that game, this isn't so much a stock up, but he desperately needs the win tonight, and that's Mike Tomlin. If he does not win, he will have gone an entire decade without a playoff win.
Ooh. That would be stock down.
I mean, listen, like I know he's never had the losing season, but that's right up there with your boy Chris Ballard as far as not having any playoff wins. Now, granted, Tomlin makes the playoffs; he just can't get the win once he gets there. But as far as stock up, Dan, like I'm with you, man. Like the NFC West, if a team from that conference does not win it all, I will be shocked. And now, granted, I know the Seahawks have to play the 49ers. That's going to knock one out. But I'm anticipating an all NFC West NFC championship with the Rams taking on the winner of the Seahawks and the 49ers.
You know, I was an idiot this morning. I got stock down to me. I was on First Fox and Friends, and, you know, I did a little deal, and then they asked me one-word questions. One of the questions was, can the 49ers continue to win with all the injuries, George Kittle being the last? And I said no. And then at the end, they asked me who you got in the Super Bowl, and I kind of panicked. I said the Bills and the 49ers. And you know how Twitter is. Literally 1 second after I got done, I folded up my stuff, turned off the lights, made a cup of coffee, sat down. You know what happened. You're an idiot, Dakich. You freaking said they couldn't win, and he got them in the Super Bowl. All right. Did you see the exchange between the female reporter, older lady, and Liam Cohen? Where are you at with that exchange from a media perspective, Sean?
Totally fine with me. If you want to have a little bit of personability in the press room, go ahead. And you know what actually pushed me to that side? I could care what you do in the press room. What pushed me to the side is all these fat, whining loser reporters who have the easiest, most mundane job that you could have. Ask the question, write up a couple paragraphs. It's an easy job, man. And it's their work, and they protect their work, and that's fine. Protect your stuff. You're proud of it, great. But when you're on Twitter and you're trying to trash this lady for doing her thing, Jacksonville lifer, she says something nice to the coach, and it's not professional. Shut it. I'm all in on the lady. Go ahead, compliment the Jags, compliment the coaches.
What do you think, Davey?
No, I couldn't disagree more. Listen, you want to have that conversation off air, by all means. But if you're supposed to be an impartial reporter that's covering the team, now granted, if you're just full on, like you're just PR for the team themselves, go for it. I don't want to hear that from a reporter. I expect them to ask actual tough questions. Listen, it's a situation where, like, Dan, like I know you talk about it with the Colts media. You can't trust what they say because they're in bed with the team. I don't want to see that. Now, it was a great season for the Jaguars. I just don't want to hear it from the media personnel talking to the coach. Listen, you're just trying to get brownie points for later?
She is receiving a lot of praise. If a middle-aged white guy did the same thing, Davey, if I went in there and did that, do you think I would be receiving a lot of praise as being empathetic like she is?
On the national level, no. I could see it from a lot of like the sheep in the fan base. They would appreciate that.
Yeah.
But nationally, no. This would not be a story.
What do you think, Sean?
No, probably not. But this is also Jacksonville. This is a basement team. They've been a joke of a franchise since they 1995. They've had a couple playoff appearances. I'm fine with them kind of taking it a little easier. It's not how you would operate in New England, not how you would operate in Dallas. It's Jacksonville. I don't really care about Florida football that much in Florida. They got better stuff to do. They can ask an easy question.
I'm a total hypocrite. I'm not going to lie. I'm a total hypocrite. I watched it and I thought, yeah, this is a bunch of crap. And then I watched it again and I'm like, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, because she was so sincere and seemed motherly. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the world needs more of this, Davey. It was like 20 seconds of their life. And then I started thinking about it, man, good for her, I guess. She works for an African-American newspaper in Jacksonville. People, I can't remember her name, but I don't care. It's I don't know. I came around on it, Davey. I and I'm the guy that says, Colts reporters suck. They're so soft. And here I am. I'm a hypocrite. I am. I'm a hypocrite. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Davey.
It's all good, Dan. Yeah, I mean, listen, if she wants to take that approach, that's fine. But it's just whenever the tables turn, like, I can't take your word for it. I just feel like you're just going to continue to put out what the team wants you to, which I'm sure after suffering a loss like that, because, I mean, great effort by the Bills. It was a great back and forth. I mean, really all outside of last night's game, it was an incredible weekend for Wild Card Week. So I don't care from the media standpoints. I know a lot of people are going to eat it up. That's just not something I'm here for.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I actually I'm both ways. Initially, I was like, wait a second, she's getting a pass here because she's not a middle-aged white curmudgeon dude. And then I watched. I'm like, wait a second, pretty empathetic. Pretty all right. Appreciate you, boys. Thank you. Here's a little story for you. I know this is close to my guy Sean's heart. The Buffalo Bills are officially selling urinals from Highmark Stadium after the stadium's final game. Man, I like me a trough. If you want to see something gross, look up on Google trough diving at Wrigley Field. It is, without question, like a friend of mine always has a line. I've been drunk, but I ain't been that drunk. Right? That's always his line. And it's usually about having sex with the same sex, right? That's usually his thing. And when I saw there's a video on Google diving you're in the middle of a Cubs game. I've been drunk, but I ain't been that drunk. I'll tell you right now. Would either of you buy a trough urinal from Highmark Stadium? Because I'm telling you right now, fellas, I would absolutely buy a trough from Wrigley Field. I don't know where I'd put it. My bathrooms aren't that big, but I'd figure it out. Maybe I'll put it outside my house. I don't know. Would either of you buy a trough from your favorite stadium? And if not, what would you buy, Davey, from your favorite stadium, if anything?
Yeah, Dan, I would not be in line to purchase a trough. Listen, you can say it's for sanitary reasons. The University of Tennessee Neyland Stadium, they're kind of having a similar thing. They've got some troughs in the south end zone that there's been talks about taking away. People are like, where can I buy these? And I'm just like, if you want to waste your money on that, by all means, go for it. If it ever was something of meaning, I would probably just say, give me a goalpost. You can get a chunk out of that, but that's about it. Listen, a lot of memorable moments. I've seen wins where people are just like yanking up pieces of the turf, just trying to take home to have a little bit of it. But listen, if I'm there in the moment, that's enough for me.
All right. Sean, anything?
I'm getting the urinal immediately. I'm getting the trough. It's getting installed. We're going to try to get it to work and run. If I got a shed, I'm putting it on the outside of the shed. I'm finding somewhere for this trough. It's just, how could you not? You got your buddies over and you're like, hey, let's go outside. I got something to show you. You know where this came from? This came from the stadium. And then that is just like, how do you not win? How are you not winning if you don't have the trough from the stadium against all your friends with the coolest memorabilia? After that, I'd probably take some turf. I've actually got a pretty good turf collection.
Do you really?
With. Yeah, I got a high school turf, some college turf from some stadiums I played at, either if it's little rubber pellets or I just grabbed a little swatch. Yeah, so I like having the earth for some reason.
Yeah, no, that's strong. All right, let me go to another story real quick. America's sweetheart, Sydney Sweeney's boyfriend, Scooter Braun, who the music guy, I thought he was married to Shania Twain. I don't know, and then cheated on Shania Twain with their best friend, and it was a mess. I'm sure I'm wrong about that. But apparently, fellas, Braun feels that the constant messages, the incredibly disrespectful constant messages that Scooter Braun is having to face because all these athletes are sliding into Sydney Sweeney's DM. He's furious. He's disrespected. Yeah. Last month, apparently, or last November, Sweeney met with ex-fiance Jonathan Davino, I guess is his name, in L.A. Can a man that goes by Scooter realistically be upset that pro athletes reach out to what now is, I guess, perceived as the hottest woman on the planet? Should Scooter be upset, Davey?
Let's take this aside. He shouldn't be upset. People are constantly messaging his fiance, who is, one of the most attractive, one of the most popular women in America. Now, I could get it if she's being sent a lot of disrespectful things. I would want him to come out and say hey, this is BS. I'm not here for this. But listen, anytime you're dating someone of this stature, you're going to have to deal with this. Now, granted, I don't know if it's one of those things where the tone might have been taken out of context. That's one of those things where it's I want to hear him physically say have him talk about it, but just the way the headline reads, it's dude, this is coming. What do you expect?
Yeah. What do you got, Sean?
Yeah, he has. You can get upset, but what are you talking about? If you're dating the it girl, your fiance with the it girl, these athletes are going to reach out. That's how it works now. If you have any type of juice, if you got any type of fame or celebrity, you just get on Instagram and you DM hot girls, and then you fly them out, and then you have a weekend with them. That's how the athlete operation is. So Scooter Braun, first of all, Scooter, embarrassing. If his name was James Braun, I think I'd take it a little more seriously. But these are the athletes are just in tremendous shape. They have so many fans. They've got so much motion that you can't be that upset that they're reaching out to your girl. It's just going to happen. Or tell her to close the DMs. One of the two.
Bingo.
That's not going to happen.
Or don't pay attention to him. I'd have a talk with my wife, to your point, Sean. Look, if you're going to date me, it's going to be crazy. I'm sorry. There's going to be starlets. There's going to, it's going to be insane. And it turned out absolutely not to be true. So, hey, what can I do? Hey, let's woke-a-dope while I got Dylan's attention here. Let's woke-a-dope me, baby. Thank you, fellas. That was very good. Woke-a-dope. This is why we don't notify Congress about future military operations. Right there. Mo, Larry, Curly, and Shemp. Look at them. Let's tell these guys what we're doing. That seems like a good idea. No. Congrats, Pete Hegseth, our military, for keeping things on the down low and getting things done. The lovely Lee Ross, LLRD, lovely Lee Ross Dakich, always says, hey, Dakich, let's talk a little more action. By the way, I kicked her ass in pickleball yesterday after Sean doing 3 miles an hour, 30 minutes at a 10% incline. First time I did it, and then kicked her ass. A little less talk, but a lot more action. Next, a little less talk. If she would have been killed by an illegal alien, Democrats wouldn't care. We know that. Hell, I don't know. Did I hear Doc Rivers or Steve Kerr talk about the lady that got stabbed in the neck on the train? Did we hear anything about Charlie Kirk? Don't act like this is some, tragedy, which it is for her family, but on a broader scale. You don't want to get killed by ICE. Guess what? Do not engage. Next. Wake up, baby. Open borders. People are constructing borders again. That's exactly right. Right there. That's exactly right. Lauren, hang on 1 second, please. The open borders, people are constructing borders again. That's right. Hey, last thing, real quick. Lauren, I'm just finishing up. Hey, the Indiana Hoosiers are in the College Football National Championship, and I am here for all of it. I am here for every single second of it. I'm going to get tickets. I'm going to go early. I'm going to stay late. If you pay me enough, I'll put something on the top of my bald head and advertise it for you. We're going to talk more about it this week, but it's National Championship Week. I don't care if the game's on Monday. It's National Championship Week. So act accordingly, dress accordingly, and every night at 7, crack open a beer in honor of Kurt Signetti. We'll see you tomorrow.